Oh yeah, yeah. I need to put on some music. Hmm. Okay, let's go ahead and put on some music. I wonder what kind of music I should put on. Oh, they updated the thing a little bit. Interesting. That's new. All right. I've been tossing on just some generic music. Maybe I should pick a different type of music. The problem is that copyright complains all the time. It's copyright is very annoying. It is super annoying. Uh, Maybe not that one. Okay, we're just going to continue with our generic music. I'm looking right now and I don't see anything else. So let's just continue with generic music 1, 2, and 3. Copyright free generic music. There we go. At least I have a ton of it so that it won't get repetitive after some amount of time. By the way, there we go. There we go. Okay, let's begin. Let's begin. All right, all right. How's it going, everyone? Let's continue with our programming and continue working on our... Actually, one moment. I need to check something real quick. I need to make sure that Restream is working properly. Yes, yes. That is. It looks like that's working. And what about this one? That is working too. All right, yeah. Everything is running. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Let's work on this. Okay, so I still have not figured this problem out right here. This is still throwing an error. I do not know why. This morning, the very first thing I did was check. Okay, this is the third thing I did. The first thing I did was I hopped back into the code trying to figure it out. The second thing I did was I posted. Let me show you. The second thing I did was I posted over on Stack Overflow to see if anyone else knows. And sadly, no one has mentioned anything yet. So apparently, yeah, no one has really replied. And the third thing I did was I went to Poe. I went to Mr. Meeseeks. Because Mr. Meeseeks is the one that got us into this mess. So I thought maybe if I try and tap it harder, it will get me out of this mess. You know, the vibe coding thing. But instead of moving on and forgetting about the code, I would like to at least understand what is going on and why the error is happening. It's better to know why than to just go, oh, okay, it works, move on. Because it might not be the most optimal way of doing it. However, there we go. Okay. Let's see here. Let me do this real quick. I do not. I'm going to have to figure out about the popping mechanic. It seems like the popping is not working right. I think I can worry about that. I think I can worry about that later. Oh, actually, here we go. Move time in, move out. I'm just being a bit silly. I'm doing a quick check of stuff. So to move out, we have ease in and out. There's no delay. The duration is 100 milliseconds. Easy in and out, no delay, 100. That is everything that has to do with OBS. All right, we'll ignore it for now. I'm going to move this down here in the corner. That way, you guys can at least see some of the programming when we're doing it. In fact, I'll even adjust the size a little bit. How's that? Yeah, good. Okay, so yeah, I ended up... First thing I did was... Here's the error, you can see. I pretty much threw in the big question. Trust me, the ChatGPT was very fervent, very determined to admit that it was always right. Always. So as you can see, I asked it many times. So here we go. I did this. Where is the beginning of this? Here we go. This code does not work when resaving. Update the code to work for resaving after changes. Provide an explanation as to why the code does not work. This is expanding the map field for Mongo Engine. And then here is the code that I put in. Apparently it didn't acknowledge my class field, but they eventually figured it out. So it figured it out by itself. Now the main point is, it claims, oh yeah, the code does not work when resaving. The issue lies in the way that it's handling it. Nah, crap. Of course I know that. The key is during to Mongo and to Python. And then it tries to do more explanation of what's going on. You want to make sure that you validate your assumptions. So here we go to the validation field. So then we go in, and here's its argument on how to fix it. So first thing we do is we initialize our data like we normally do. We then validate, which is what we normally do. In fact, you know what? Let me do this. I'm going to put this to the side. Let me put this to the side so I can show you. And I'm going to go ahead and hide this up here, so we can see side to side exactly what it's telling me to do. There we go, side by side. And while we're at it, let's head over to the enum field. There it is. Okay, so here's my enum field, and here's what they are suggesting to do. Right here. So first thing, initialize. We put in the class and then we super initialize. We're doing that already. In fact, yeah, you can see it right here. We're already doing that. Next, validate. First, we make sure that the value is not none. Then we make sure that the value is the instance dictionary, because we're working with the map field is working with the dictionary. In fact, that is what a map field is. So that is done. So yeah, that is correct. Then here it wants me to check to see if the values, convert the enums to strings. And here they end up also throwing in if it's not a string, then just append it in. But I don't know why it's telling me to put this in here, because we're working with nothing but enums. We have 0 strings. So why is it trying to shove in an instance where I might have strings? This is going to dirty up my database. So I'm ignoring this because this is wrong. Then afterwards we then will go through and let's see here. Then afterwards we'll then go through is we will then, let's see, that's all of the validation steps. And then afterwards we run super. And if you look here, that's what we're doing here as well. If we scroll down, you can see, there we go. At the very end, we're doing super. In fact, one thing that I'm doing is I'm converting the code, its keys, because PyMongo, pretty much, it needs to be strings for the dictionary. It can't be anything else. It's a bit strange that it's, again, I don't know what this is doing here. If it is a key, then we're going to try and do this, where we will take the enum class key, and then enum key, like this code means absolutely nothing. This is garbage right here. I don't know why it told me to do this. This is garbage. This right here, yeah, this is just garbage. If the key is a string. uh, it's trying to convert it to an enum class to then get the code out. But we're not this no. Bad ChatGPT. So next to Mongo. What does it tell me to do? Well, it tells me check to see if it's none. Then what we'll do is we'll convert the value to a code, and then we'll run this. Pretty much we'll return the super. If you notice in our to Mongo, we're doing the exact same thing, but instead of sending it directly to return, I'm outputting it to value and then returning it. Then to Python. If you look here, our to Python is very similar as well. We go in, we find the field. I ended up adding in the get by code function, and the reason being is because of the fact that I found out that the code that we have is different from the actual name of the instance. I will have to update all the, if I want to use the formatting that they provide, which by the way is wrong, but if I want to use the programming that the formatting that they provide, it will automatically crash and throw an error. So I wrote in a function into enum to just find it based off of our code. And I will update the enums so that in the future this potential error won't happen. But nonetheless, this is the changes. It then tells me these are the changes. This is how it works. Here's an example that they provide on how it works. And then they confidently go, this will end all troubles. Now the thing is, it didn't work. It still results in the same error. And I already knew that, so I didn't even bother testing it. I decided to send them the error saying, no, this does not work. The error still follows. And then here it throws out what it said last time. You know, none type is being sent to reverse field, which is why we're getting an error. So then it tried to update the code. It kept everything the same, except it tried to add in more validation steps, which doesn't make much sense because it's not a validation problem. And then it said, what we need to do is we need to prepare the query. So do this. So okay then, I'm like, fine then. I will throw you a bone. I will add this into my enum. Here you go. I put it in. I made sure that it works the way that we need because I'm not going to add in this is instance crap. We're not working with strings. And then here we go. Here are the key fixes. Here's the explanation of the fixes, then the usages, and then output. And it still doesn't work. So wrong. This is not the solution. It still failed. So then it tried to give me the exact same code. It changed nothing. It changed nothing. And then it was like, this is the solution. Check it out. Why this fix works. It is now trying to lie to me that it fixed the problem. Think clearly. Like, it is obviously lying at this point. So think clearly. This error still persists. Here is the error. The entire error. So what does it do? It doesn't do it again. It spits out the exact same stuff. And then here you go. The key fixes. This fix solves the error. So yeah, ChatGPT knows nothing. It has absolutely no clue how to solve this error. It is just spouting garbage. And as such, that's all I'm getting is nothing but garbage. So yeah, if we're going to solve this error, I want to focus on the extracting side of things today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to some of the general functions that we have. That way I can dig deeper into this problem and hopefully we can finish it before we start getting into the massive, data structure setup. But for now, what I did was I threw it onto something more reliable, which is Stack Overflow. I'm waiting for someone on Stack Overflow to call me a moron. That's usually what happens. They show up, they call you an idiot, but then they actually know what they're talking about and they explain the problem. I would rather be called an idiot and have proper code than have an AI tell me, you're so smart, let me give you a cookie. This is how you fix it, and then it gives me dog crap. But yeah, I'm currently waiting for a response. Hopefully somebody is nice enough on Stack Overflow to answer. But for the most part, for now, we're just going to ignore that. And what we're instead going to do is move over to using what can work. So if you remember in our fields, let's go over to our documents. It's called the game sources document. That's where we're currently using it. Let's see here, where are you? Those are the enums. And I'm now getting to the point where, there it is, data source document. Yeah, I'm now getting to the point where the project is starting to get so big, I'm forgetting where things are located. But here, if you remember, we were using enum fields. So what instead I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this to a basic map field. There we go. So we're just going to use a basic map field. This is what we were trying to mimic in MongoEngine. Instead of it being a string, we're going to do enum. So for here, we're going to do that. And then in our parser, which is what we've been having lots of fights with, right down here. So now when we do our parsing, let's see here. Yeah, right here. So if you remember, what we usually end up doing is we will... Oh, I'm going to have to update this a bit. So what we've been doing largely is I will go in and... Let's see, I'm looking for the code. Oh yeah, this is my attempt to try and fix it. So you can see it right here. Instead, we're going to create a document using code, and from here, it should automatically just fix our problem. And then here we'll do get game sources. Let's actually go over to this function real quick. Here it is, get game sources. So this is going to take console enum, and instead we'll just pass in code here. Like this. There we go, like that. Actually, seeing as how... I'm going to go ahead and delete that now, because we don't really need that. I can probably start doing more of that a bit later. In this particular case, we have our doc. We have... This is going to be game sources. And then from here, what we'll do is we'll type in console.code, and this will equal our... Oh, we want to make this the game list, like that. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put extend here. Data lists. Like that. There we go. Now, if we run this, it should solve all our problems, because we're now just using map fields. So let's go ahead and reset this. Let's go ahead and run the code. Actually, you know what? To make sure that this is working properly, I'm going to go ahead and delete this here so that we'll start at the very beginning. There we go. Nice and deleted. Let's go ahead and set this up. I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of the block, or stop the blockiness. It has to do with some kind of refresh rate. There we go. Let's get our parser. Oh, well, let's see here. Argument. Map field constructor must be a valid field. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I need to change that also real quick, because it's no longer enum. Yeah, right here. So this is going to be... So what we'll do is simply, this is going to be a list field, and this here is going to be a dict field. like that. Okay, good. Nice. So let's go ahead and run this, make sure everything is going well. All right, here we go. There we go, we're in Game Parser. Now let's go ahead and extract out our data here. First thing we need to do is grab our sitemap. And let's go ahead and run this. And, oh, there we go, throws an error, validation error. Key document must be a string. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, right here. Topic enum. We should probably set this to code. There we go. And I need to put it down a to-do. So change back once enum map field is fixed. Okay, that should be fine. There we go. Now, if I set console, we'll set this to PlayStation. Now, if I run this, it should save perfectly fine. Oh, okay, it threw an error. Let's see here. Why did it throw an error? Super key. PlayStation. Let's see here. Game sources, console code, equals extend. Oh, I get it. Okay. Let me go ahead and refresh this. I have a feeling. Let's see here. I'm doing a quick peek. I should probably change this to a dict field as well right now. Let's see here. Game sources console is equal to this super value key. Keyword key error PlayStation. Let's see here. Game sources is a dictionary. The console should be PlayStation. Oh yeah, I know what the problem is. We haven't established. Well, technically, yeah, we haven't established it yet. So there is no extend. So if doc.game sources, we'll put the console code here. We should probably set this to Git. There we go. And we'll call this the list. Or we'll call this the game list. So if we have game list, then we'll simply go game. No, we should. I should change this. If not, so in other words, if we could not get it, then what we're going to do is we'll go with doc dot. Pretty much this right here. This entire thing is equal to that. There we go. So if it doesn't exist, we will then create it. So now we run that. We run all of this. And saved. Okay. So now let's change console to actually another console. So console will be Nintendo 64. Then from here, we extract. Then we can save. There we go. Saved. And now if we go over here to our data, if we go to game sources, let's refresh first. There we go. If we go to game sources, here we go. PlayStation, Nintendo 64. And here are all the games. Here is the list. So when we want to start scraping for these files, we can simply go into our data sources, go to game source, and pull it out. This is all of the sitemap data right here. So if we end up having other data that we might want to source, we can add in more stuff here. Potentially, if I want, because it's theoretically data sources right here, it might end up only containing sitemap information. It might only be this structure here. And if that's the case, and this might be for all, this might be for all of the different websites. But if that is the case, then I could probably move this into a static library, a static database, and then we can interface with that. But for now, I'm going to keep it like this, because that way I can keep everything within the same structure. And it looks like it wants us to download an update. We can worry about that later. But with that in mind, we can now start parsing them out, and we just did that. What we can now do is go to our scraper. Oh, that's the main function. Here it is, the scraper. So now with our scraper right here in all of its glory. So here with our scraper with all of its glory, what we can now start doing is downloading the game data right here. Let's see here. So we'll set up Selenium connection. This will be sitemap right here. This will be sitemap extraction. Sitemap extraction code. And then down here, this is going to be a completely set of new code. So what we'll call this is the game extraction code. There we go. Nice. And if you remember from here, what we should probably start doing now is figuring out our save, how we're going to save the data. So we have our sitemaps. We have the sitemap for all sorts of... Actually, maybe we should pull a different sitemap. Maybe we should. But nonetheless, what we should probably think... what we should do is we should focus more on saving the data for the individual games. So we found out earlier that... Let's go over to GameFAQs so I can show you what I'm talking about. Python. Here we go. It's back up. So if we go to GameFAQs, and we'll go to let's go to the, let's not go to that one. Let's go to BitTrip Void. So when we're here, you can see we have a lot of different data. We have the game details, we have the Metacritic score, a lot of nice stuff. But apparently, if we go in here and go to, this is answers, all right. We go here. We have down here, more statistics and details. Hey, Longvody. How's it going? Hey, Longvod. Why is it so hard? It's programming. Programming is always very difficult. But yeah, originally what I was going to do was just scrape this entire page. The description, the user data, then here, and then I found out that there's actually additional data sources. For instance, if we click here, more stats, suddenly I can break down actually all of the rating systems. Instead of just getting numbers and whatnot, I can actually get the percentages. I know how many people did the 1-star, the 5-star, how many people defined the difficulty. Like, this is some really good data. It would be fantastic to put in the database. So naturally we're going to rip this. And then I also found, besides there, if I go in here and do /data, it sends us to a completely different data section, which can give me the release information, which will be quite nice. And it can give me the, like where it's included. And more importantly, if we go to a game like, we'll pick, let's see, let's hop back. Where are you? Not Zero Wing. Zero Wing is awesome, but it's not that one. I will show you if you want to see old internet shenanigans, yeah, I'll show you old internet shenanigans with the Zero Wing. Let's see, there's Super Smash Bros. There it is, Ultimate. So if we go into here, this should be the data, and then we go down to our actual data set. Or let's go ahead and /data. If you go in here, you can see the add-ons and expansions. I can track what has DLC. That is going to be fantastic. Because now what it means is that I can now know when particular hacks will be modifying the downloadable content. You might be asking me, oh, there can't be any like that. And the argument is there actually is. Let's go to romhacking.net. Let's see here, romhacking.net. We'll go to translations. This should be for the Vita. Where are you? PlayStation Vita, right there. Oh, okay, of course. Of course. Actually, this might work. This one might work. So the games, pretty much you'll find that there are certain games on here. I bet it might be the PSP. Okay, yeah, I believe it's this one. You'll find that these games, they will have DLC, and some of them actually translate the DLC, and some of them do not. And they will often comment on it, saying if they did do that or not. Let's see here. All the item descriptions, the patcher, various infixes for the Spanish text. Ooh, they added Spanish, that's fun. Here you go, complete list of all DLC quests ordered. Which means this patch, it has translated all of the DLC for this game. This would be great to know, so we can track it in our database. So I'll be drawing these parallels. We'll know what DLC is available, and then what we can do is we can mark down little check marks to say, has the DLC been translated or not? Yes or no. If it's yes, then we'll be a very happy camper. If it's no, then at least we can enjoy the main game. Or we know that this patch allows us to enjoy the main game. Oh, it works with 2.7. That's actually, when was this released? That's very recent. Oh my, why is someone still using 2.7? Any other device with 2.7 onwards? Anyway, that is some old Python. But yeah, so it's good to know. It's very good to know. But now that I have this, I need to figure out what to do because the data is all separated out. If you look here, I go to the main page, save this. I then go to this page and save it. So here we go. So I'm going to 3 separate websites, and I now have the data in bytes. So I have to decide: am I going to smush all of these together? I could technically squish all of these HTML files together, and by doing so, I should be able to, turn it into a XPath and then start searching it. Or I could potentially instead just save these as 3 individual files, and just say this is the main page, this is the data page, and this is the stat page. I could do it either way. It really depends on how many times I want to tap the file. I think it really comes down to the parser right here. It really comes down to parsing right here. It really comes down to parsing the info. So if you look, we've already started parsing out our web page. We, for instance, were able to get out the image. We have the console name. We have the description. Here's the rating table, which we're going to actually. This is the original rating table that was in the overlay, but we're changing this now. This is going to be out of the stats page. So let me go ahead and do that. Rating list. Okay, ratings will be from stat page instead of general page. There we go. There we go. Actually, that is another thing. If we go to let's head back over to our website here. If you look here, this provides me with a lot of the information we want. Here's the description, the title data, the release data, descriptions, expansions. Then we get the general data as well as the Metacritic score and such. Some little trivia if there is. So this data page technically gives me everything. If we step back to just the general page, I think here it is, just the basic summary page. We can get our user scores, we can get the game details, and then the trivia. So I have a feeling I don't actually want this page anymore. Yeah, we can not worry about this one. So yeah, for our scraper, we don't need the main page. In fact, we don't need that right there at all. Oh. There we go. Right here. So we want these. There we go. So yeah, this is what we want. Just these two, and then we can save them. I think I'll save them as two separate files. Let's go to web page enum, make sure that we have them situated. You can see we have latest, hack, translation, homebrew, game. We have saves, trivia. We should add in a new one here. We'll call it stats. We'll just go ahead and grab this. I'm going to have to update the code a bit. This will simply be the stats for the game. There we go, stats for the game. Stats. There we go. There we go. And then last but not least, I think, let's see here. Board, answer, saves. Why is my stream a little blurry unless it's full screen? I do not know. I do not know. It might, I know that because I'm not a full-on affiliate with either YouTube or Twitch, they don't let me send downstreamed data. So it's possible that either it is being rendered lower for you because YouTube wants to save money, or Twitch wants to save money, or it could be that because I'm sending such a high bit rate, your setup is having trouble keeping track. It's one of the two. It might be because I'm currently sending out a 1080p bit rate. I'm looking at the image, and it should be the correct resolution. Yeah, that's a problem on your end. That's a problem on your end. YouTube is not being friendly to you. You might want you might have it set to auto. You should change it from being set to auto, and it should fix the problem for you. Potentially. Anyway, let's work on this. Let's see here. Game, cheats, achievements, FAQs, board, answers, save, retrieve. So we should probably call this data. Let's go ahead and copy this too. And this will be the... We'll call this data. And this will be the general data. General data for the game. There we go, perfect. Okay. So with this in mind, what we can now do is in our scraper, we will create two documents as such. Let's see here. So we'll create two documents. What I'll do is I will set it so that's like this. It'll just kind of go through both. Okay, so game URL right here. Actually, let's go ahead and do this because it will overwrite itself. So this will be our game data URL. There we go. We'll put this into our data right here. Console, the tag should be the actual game name of the game. So, yeah, that should be the name of the game that we extracted out, or we extract the data for. This really depends on our list. If I set it as a dictionary, I can actually just pull that in, because we already pull out the name of the game, and we can even text clean it. Let's see here. We'll just call this for now, what we'll do is we'll go with the game URL. We'll split it. And we'll set this, or we'll split it based off of that. And then, and then we'll take the last file. Just for now. And then from here, so that's our first file. And then we're going to do the exact same set of code here. And this will be the game stats URL. Let's go ahead and copy that. Game stats, extension copy there. Game stats. We'll put that right there. Stats data goes there, and there we go. Okay. Oh yeah, and this one right here, we want to make sure that this is game stats as well. There. And then we put them both in here. I might want to write some code so that if we reach a 500 limit, as in if the, yeah, I might want to write put in a limit. So if we reach 500 documents, then it will save it out. That way will cache it might be an issue. Yeah, we can write a loop actually right here. So let's see here. Let's get the game URL list. This will be a list of strings, and we want to get this from our good old friend, the there it is, data source service. Let's see here. We were originally up here from here. It is right here. This one, query. That one. And ad's going to start in a minute, so we'll have to. I will, once the ad starts, we'll wait a few seconds or for a minute so that the ads can pass through. But yeah, so here we go. So this should technically be, let's see here. So download game data. So we're going to put console here. There we go, games console enum. Now, we're going to query. We're not querying the ID. Well, yeah, we do need to query the ID. This will give us our data source right here. I don't think I need to do an if statement because we kind of already know it's there, and it'll throw an error if it's not. So there we go. There's our data source. This will be a document. So this will be a... Let's see here. Where is it? Data source doc. There we go. Oh wait, why are you complaining? Oh, it's because it's a query. Yeah, I know. This is a list of these things. Okay, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Yeah, we are gonna whale it. There we go, and then here will be data source is going to be equal to data source first element. There we go. Okay. So the ad should be running now, right? Yeah, here it is. Ads are now running. So while we're waiting for the ads to finish, let's go find the meme I was mentioning. I wonder if we'll get copyright struck. Oh, I hope not. Here it is. Yeah, I hope we won't get copyright. It will be very hilarious if we do. So all your base are belong to us. Let's see here. Here it is, right here. All your base... Man. People have been posting this quite frequently. I think it's this 18 years. Yeah, I mean, I remember when this came out 18 years ago. Oh, let's go watch this. Okay, let me stop the music. Okay, let me stop the music and let me turn on the music on your end. Okay.
What happened? Someone set up the bug. We get signal.
Oh, hold on. Let's wait a sec for the. Let's wait a sec for this to finish. And why does this look like Garbo? Oh, this looks like garbage, massive garbage. Okay, it might be because it's 18 years old. Welcome back, chat. Let's watch this.
What happened? Someone set up the bug. We get signal. What? Main screen turn on. It's you.
How are you, gentlemen?
Oh, seizure warning.
You are on the way to destruction.
What you say?
You have no chance to survive, mate. Your time.
Ha ha ha. This was everywhere 18 years ago when it came out. It was everywhere. It was hilarious too.
All your base, all your base belong to us. All your base, all your base belong to us. All your base,
I don't know why this was so popular though.
all your base belong to us. All your base.
And the music in the background is actually the music from the game. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. You get the idea. This was... It's surprisingly... The music is so good in Zero Wing. It has no right to be as good as it is. It really doesn't. Anyway. There's 4 minutes of this, and if you go through, you can see there's a whole lot of memes in there. So, have fun. Okay, let's get back to working on our code. So let's see here, data sources. So now we have that. Now what we can simply do is we can simply call... Let's see here, it should be game sources, get, this will be console.code, to do, change to enum once enum field is fixed. There we go. And then from that, we should now have a list. Okay, what we should probably do as well is we should probably set when when we're doing stuff. So, oh, actually, since we set it up and I was wondering what else to do, why are there... Oh, it's because people love gambling. People love to gamble. In fact, whenever you put some random element into a stream, you'll naturally get people to watch. It has to be something involving people. Oh yeah, and of course there's a girl in it. I mean, let's face it. My avatar is a poorly drawn raccoon in a hoodie. Not very many people want to watch a poorly drawn raccoon in a hoodie. They would rather watch a lady with a low-cut top and a upbeat, cheery voice. So naturally, I'm already kind of at odds when it comes to numbers. But it doesn't bother me. I'm just having fun programming. So that's what we're doing. Okay, let's see here. So now we have our game list. We want to add in... Let's go ahead and start doing that. That's a new service. Let's see here. It should be... where is it? Okay, yeah. Where is it? Where are you, my friend? This should not be a parser. This is going to be a database service. So it should be here. Not the dot. Oh, here it is, DB service. Okay, right here. Let's go ahead and create a new function. This will be called history service. There we go. Yes, you're right. It is PC. This is why I don't like acronyms. Because whenever it comes to this is why I don't like acronyms. Every media, every business, they all will use the same few shorthand because there's only a certain number of characters that in the English alphabet, and there's only a certain number of ways that you can rearrange those in less than 5-6 characters. In fact, I believe that if we do the math, it's just a factorial. So it should be 5 factorial 1, and it will tell you, well, okay, there's 26 characters, so it would be 26 factorial minus 21 factorial. And then we can know exactly how many there are. And you'll think, oh, that sounds like a huge amount. But it's not, because some of the alphabet we don't use. For instance, an example being X is extremely not used in the English language. Same with Q. Q is very rarely, and this is why they're so high on Scrabble. But if we just go here, let's type in, let's go with abbreviation, IL. Okay. How about we go with a different one? Uh, Give me 1 second while I think of a good one. Uh, no, we're looking for abbreviations, my friend. Abbreviations for IL is not making this easy. What does, here we go, abbreviations.com. Perfect. There we go. IL can be Illinois, Israel, Ivy League, insertion loss, insert level. It can be intermediate language, indecent light, intensity level, information loss, Innsbruck Lend. Like, look at all of these. Identity left, infinite loop. So, like, here, look at this. This is for here we have business. So if you're talking to your business friends, it means initial loss. If you're talking to computer friends, it means infinite loop. If you're talking to a psychologist, it's interleukin. Or actually, if you're talking to a biologist, it's also interleukin. This is one reason why I went to it. Because I know it as interleukin. Yeah, I know. It is. It's crazy. And all of these are unclassified, but we can easily tell where they're from. Ionic liquids. That's if they claim they claim academic science, but that's chemistry. So even in sciences, they could mean something different. I once was in a conversation with a someone who studied the heart, someone who studied the eye, and someone who studied the liver, and they kept throwing out acronyms, but they all meant something different, even though they were the same acronyms, because the technology that we're using would be different. For instance, I can't remember exactly what they were, but I just remember the situation. We had 3 different professions, and they all were trying. They would throw out acronyms, and they would mean different things. Like GCC, I think. Let's see here, ECG. Here we go. It might actually be this one. Electrocardiogram, which is ECG for medical. But I bet if we go down here, electrochemical group, which is something else. Electrocardiography. I believe there should be another one. Emission control group. Electrocardiogram. And then I should think there should be, let's see here. What was the I one? I didn't see the I one in here. Yeah, I didn't see the I one because there should be a one in here about, because we do, maybe it's EEG? You get the idea. You get the idea. The main point is that these acronyms, they can go all over the place. So you have to, whenever it comes to conversations, I always try and avoid these as much as possible. It might make the sentences a bit longer, but it's better than getting people lost or confused. Well, there's not most. I think it should be 4 a.m. in the States, and most people in the US don't watch Identity 5 at this hour, or, they're not, the North America servers are not very full. As such, yeah, you're not going to see many people. It usually peaks around 9 o'clock. Usually you have around 170 viewers around 9 a.m., 9 p.m., or 9 a.m. here, 9 p.m. in the Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, that's true. That's true. TikTok, TikTok is quite something. Okay, let's go ahead and start getting this done. Not the web types. ROM docs. Don't need to mess with that. We're trying to make a service. Particularly, we're doing a Mongo service. base service right here. So this is the dock. Yeah, this is the base dock service. What am I actually call it? Let's see here. Oh yeah, this is the base services. This is for the services, the base. Okay, and then Mongo service, this is just interfacing in with Mongo and initializing, so that's not it. And then base dock is for here. So yeah, I'm busy looking around at all where everything is located. Browser service, NLP, most likely it will have, there it is, data source service. So what we should do is we have MongoDB, there's the DB services, there's the docs. Okay, yeah, everything should be right. So this is going to be this is a history service. So it should be here in the DB services, but we're going to copy what we've been doing in our base service, yeah, we're pretty much going to be copying this here. Let's see here, base services, right here. Now, instead of data source doc, what we need is, this is going to be a history doc. Actually, we're going to keep it data source. Thinking about it, we want to keep it in data source. Actually, since I want to keep it in data source, maybe we should... I'm thinking... Let me look over here real quick. We should have an ID called history. Yeah, I should, yeah. I think that's what we'll do. I'm going to, instead of creating a history service, let's forget about that. We're not doing that now. We're going to get rid of you. This is going to be part of the data source service. That's exactly what we're going to do. TikTok spoiled musically. Yeah, we don't have TikTok in Hong Kong. TikTok is banned here. And if you try to install it, it will throw an error because they region lock it too. So TikTok just does not work in Hong Kong. I have to spoof it in order to get it to work. And I'm not about to use a VPN to access TikTok, especially when it looks like it's going to get banned in the US eventually. X is available, but I don't know. X has kind of been trash lately. Okay, it's always been trash, but it's becoming trashier than I remember. Data source doc. Here we go. In fact, we can even keep the same setup. Data sources and game sources. We can keep that. I'm going to change this to an any. There we go. And then this will be a list of strings. I think this would work out. I think this will work out. I'm just going through kind of figuring out what we want to do. So our collection is called data source. All right, so where is our web page types? Right here. I'm going to put, so these are the page types. As you see, there's quite a long, lengthy list. I'm going to put another one here. We're going to call this history. Oh. history. We'll simply call this history data. There we go. And then from here, let's see here. Let's get back over to our data source or this is fine. We don't need to change that. But here. Okay, part of me wants to put it in the sources, but part of me feels like that I might need to I'm just trying to think about it. I'm just trying to think about a good way to do this. Where are you? Alright, we don't need to worry about web types. Enum field is still messing up, so we'll just exit out of that for now. What would be a good way to do this? Let me draw it out. Let me get out good old tablet and draw. This way we can figure it out. It might give us a bit of an idea of what we want to do. So let's see here. Oh yeah, this was our old stuff right here. Let's create a new one. There we go. Okay then. So let's start thinking. So originally what I was thinking was creating a database, calling it history. And then in this, we will have a lot of different variables that we would store. For instance, last save. Last URL, the current parse URL. It would store all of the history data for everything. And then all I'd have to do is say if I want if I want something for any particular function, for instance, for the parsing code, or for the scraping code, or the analysis code, all code, it would go to the history database and collect it. So this was my original idea. That was the original thought. But what I started trying to modify and what I'm thinking about is this. Instead, I have data sources. So I have data sources right here. This happens to be a database. And if you remember, we have the we call it the sitemap data. So sitemap. And this will contain the URL stuff. I was thinking of, instead of just having a sitemap as one of the documents, another document we would call history. And then it would have the exact same structure as sitemap. But then it would tell us the last URL. I mean, this way everything would be contained in data sources with no trouble. However, doing it this way, we do not have the last day checked. We don't know when we did this last. And as well as, we don't know when we did this last, but also we also don't know we also end up not having this is all separated. So all separate. This makes it out so that all of the different functions, this, and this, are all separated. So that way we can't really inform each other. Because it's possible that for the scraping, I ended up being slow. And then the parsing catches up. It catches up to this. And if they're separate, I can't go, hey, when was the last time we scraped? I want to parse today. Can I is there any new data for scraping? And doing it like this, we won't exactly know because again, we don't have the date. But also, these would be theoretically separated out into their own history or into their own data source history. So maybe what I should do. But the way I set up the data. Let's look at the data structure again. So the way I set it up is we have data sources with all of the different files, and then we have the games with their individual files. So we kind of already know where everything is located, and it's all spaced and parsed out. And because it's all dictionary focused, there isn't actually a beginning or the end to the dictionary. If it was a list, I could simply just keep track of this was the last spot in the list that I stayed at. Plus, with the current structure and format, I would actually be saving a lot more information. Like, this was a game data. The last time we did data source scraping, especially for game, we were at, I don't know, Astrocade. And we haven't extracted Astrocade yet. Or we might be all the way down to cheats or achievements. Hey, Ansel. Anshul? How's it going? We're busy figuring out our data structure. Because right now we're trying to write up a history tracking code. Because of the fact that we are having so much trouble, because we're having so much trouble with the enum fields, and Mr. Meeseeks failed miserably in solving it, it still doesn't know what I'm complaining about. When people say AI is going to take over everything, what it's going to do is it's going to make everything just worse. Because it doesn't understand a large chunk of information. And I'm using one of the more recent chatbots, ChatGPT 4.1, and it can't solve a basic, this code is wrong. I reminded you of Daru. Oh. I will have to look up what Daru is. But yeah, because of that, I'm currently still digging through that. Oh, it's the Steins Gate's visual. I see. Oh, I should turn the music back on. Let me go ahead and do that. I could try them. Let's see here. Let me turn the music back on. Let's turn it down a little bit. There we go. I will have to try. I just know that when I went to Poe right here, I was using 4.0. I was using 4.0 and it was not working at all. I wonder. Let's see if I explore. Is Grok on here? Cloud is on here. Opus 4, Sonnet 4, Gemini, DeepSeek, Grok 3. Here we go. Grok 3, they have it. Oh my, it takes a lot of points. Oh, okay then. I don't know if I have enough points to do that. I do not have enough points. I have 414 points, and it will take 15 hours to reset it. Actually, maybe if I subscribe. Okay, then. Actually, yeah, I know what you mean. So yeah, I'll have to try that later. But anyway. Let's see here. Tuesdays or Thursdays, not Fridays. But Steins Gate is a retro game, mind you. It came out in like it came out a long time ago. I'm guessing you're saying not Fridays because you're busy on Friday. Yes, I am. If you look, I have two chats up on the very right side. I'm currently covering one of them, but the top chat is Twitch. The bottom chat is that is YouTube. Yeah. So the top one is Twitch, the bottom one is YouTube. I put them both side by side like this because everyone communication, everyone can chat with each other. If I could stream in three places, I would definitely put that one there as well. But I digress. Yeah. If you look at the actual stream instead of over at the chats, you'll see Twitch right here. Anyway. Oh. We need to set a standard database. Let's figure this out. Here's our structure. We have ROMDB. We have GameVax. We should probably create what should we call this data structure? If we create let's see here. If I create a collection, so what should this collection be called? I think that might be, why don't we call it, yeah, what should we call this collection? Not generals. Not services. I am overusing services way too much. Let's not call the data that. Let's not call that service. But yeah, we should probably put this here. DB services. Yeah, we'll call this the history service. There we go. So yeah, we'll definitely create a history service. And let's see here, history service. We'll import in our base service. Come on. There we go. And then from here, we'll need to put in database. Yeah, database. Oh, I think database name already exists in here, doesn't it? I believe I already put that in base service. Yeah, database name right there. Okay, then. So let's go over to this service real quick here. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this. Yeah, so initialize. Because this is the history service and this is going to be static. Yeah, because this is history service and this is going to be static, so we should probably... Yeah, and let's see here. Where is our... Here goes, docs. Base docs. So here we have base doc, audit. Base enum. Checksum. We'll create a different document. I was thinking of putting it in base docs, but we'll just create a new one. History doc. There we go. Why don't we copy our webpage doc? Why don't we copy this for now, just as a reference? There we go. History doc. We're going to allow inheritance. Here we go. Collection is going to be... This is what we need to solve. So what should we call this file? This needs to be a constant. All of our general data is going to be saved here. So this will be the DB alias. We'll call this history for now, because we need to know what the collection is, or we need to know what the... Actually, that should be the name of the collection is already... we have. How about we call this the... How about we call this the... I can be as goofy as I want and give it a weird, silly name, but I want to make this as simple as possible because someone is bound to fork this eventually. So why don't we call this the... we'll just call it general day. The general... Oh, I know. We'll call this the DB variable, or we'll call this the variables. If I could spell, that would be very nice. Thank you. DB variables, like that. And then this way we can then track history and such. So for DB variables, let's go to history doc. So here's our collection. So what we'll do is we'll call this DB variables. And then in this, we're going to be creating a whole lot of... Now, because this is what it is, now what we're going to do is we're going to create... So now what we're going to do is we're going to... Oh, I'm thinking. Our collection is going to be DB variable. Oh, let me fix that. Okay then. So let's see here. So we go into... We want this to be in a completely different database as well. Because what's going to happen is it's just going to create this right here, this collection. This is the name. So we want this to be here in web page doc. So this is going to be variables. But we want to also change it to a different this. So this involves the service, particularly switching. We don't need the... actually, we can probably keep the enum field. Or how about we don't keep the enum field for now, because I don't know if it's going to work. We'll just call this a string field for now. And we'll call this type. Let's add a to-do here. Okay then. Change to enum. Field once fixed. Alright then. So yeah, the idea will be that we'll have a type right here. We'll then have the... It's not a URL page. We're just going to go for... I'm actually going to call this... Actually, what does our base doc have? So it has audit, ID, name tag. Okay, I'm going to call this content. And this is simply going to be a dictionary with a string. And this is going to be any. And this will be a dict field. There it is. And the DB field name will be content. What are those white lines? It is because of my addict field. It is because I am using all right. It's because this is not the actual computer I'm programming on. I'm actually streaming a remote desktop view of another computer. So technically what I have here, I'm running my stream on a Windows computer, but the computer that I'm doing my programming on is a Linux box, and there aren't very many softwares that work at it. So what I ended up doing is I'm using RustDeck right here. RustDeck is a rather powerful tool. However, one of the big problems for RustDeck, and it is actually quite a big problem, at least I think, and that is that it ends up having a lot of artifacts, and it doesn't work very well. It needs to be, if I was you, to give a very brief explanation about remote desktop interfaces. In fact, I will even, let's go back to GIMP so I can even draw it so you can know what I'm talking about. Okay, so here we are. So this is a remote desktop. So remote desktop. Now, in order to do a remote desktop, you need to, it's pretty much you take one computer, and you can then make a connection between the two. And then you can visualize the other computer without having to be on it. And you don't even need a monitor. You can just go interface with that and grab the signal from here and then work on it from here. That's very generic, basic what a remote desktop. Now, the way it works, depending on which tool you're using, Mac, Windows, and Linux all use different ways to do remote desktop. They're radically different. For Windows, they use something called Xorg, or X11, I think? They use a tool called Xorg. The one I know is called Xorg. And what this does is it's pretty much the Windows library for doing remote desktop. Linux, given that it has its own generated drivers, it has two different ones. It has Wayland, and it has Xorg. So if you're using Xorg on a Windows computer to connect to Linux, you don't have any real problem. Not huge many problems, because this will create a virtual desktop, and then it will link directly to it. So in other words, I don't need to have a monitor, as I was saying. Wayland, on the other hand, this one right here, it needs an actual connection. So this needs to be actually hooked up to a monitor somewhere. And then what it's doing is, instead of creating a virtual desktop, it's taking the signal from the cable, copying it, and then sending it over. And because it does that, it results in this very weird artifacting where my page will sometimes have these blotches because it's an artifact. And in order to save memory, especially when it comes to the copying step, it will just update the pixels, the blocks that are, it'll just update the blocks that are not changing or that have changed. Now, Xorg, I tried to use Xorg, but it won't work because Linux is killing it. Whoever maintains the Ubuntu library, and they love Wayland. They hate Xorg. So because they hate Xorg, they're not updating it. It's just not being used anymore. So I have to use this Wayland instead, and it generates these artifacts. I'm hoping that Xorg will get an update. Maybe it can get forked or something and someone can start updating it. Because if they can, I can go back to using this and we eliminate this problem. So that's a general explanation of why it's so blocky and why we have to live with it right now. I might be able to... Let me do a quick check. Let me do something real quick. Let's see here. We actually have ads coming up in a minute. Okay, we have ads coming up in a minute. So when the ads start, I will do a quick check and see if I might be able to force Wayland to update more frequently, though it might affect bandwidth. Either way. Let's work on this. So we have our collection. It's going to be the constants variable. And then from here, yeah, you can see ads. It's starting now. You can see the ads up here. Look at that, ads. Going to start in 45 seconds. But yeah. So we want to set up a new connection. So if you remember, in our base, was it base service? No, not base service. It should be in our, where is it? Mongo services. Yeah, Mongo service. What we were doing here originally, where we were Mongo service, we were initializing, and from there we were then going to run this. So what instead I would like to do is, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to initialize a completely different database. So that means when we are interfacing with this, where is our... I should probably create another one. Well, okay, what I'm... Alright, well, okay, what I'm going to do... Ads have started. So what I'm going to do is let me check real quick and see if I can... Because every time I have a stream, people ask about that, so... Yeah, let me see if I can fix that. Here we go. Let's see, we're now under maintenance. Let me see if what I can do if I change this up. We have adaptive, good image quality. Let's change that. Enable file copy paste, we want that. We can show our, no, not that one. Resolution, that's fine. Codec, we're using VP9. I should change this to AV1. Let's see here. Use all of my display for the remote session. Nope, true color. Maybe we should set true color. There's a lot of things I did not work on. I did not change. We have scale adaptive. What happens if I change it to original? Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Let's resolution here. Let's decrease the resolution. Oh my, that is. Oh my, that is okay. Yeah, that's not working. That's not working. Let's see here. I'm going to set it back to adaptive. Okay, there we go. Hey, chat, welcome back. I am busy trying to fix it now. I think I crashed it. Oh yeah, I think I crashed it. Oh yeah, okay. Oh my, I think yeah, I think I borked it. I borked it. Oh, I really did. I should have ignored it. Okay, then. All right, I think, yeah, I borked it. I borked it. Let me let me restart it. Let me restart, and then we'll just ignore it. We'll leave it alone. I can test it later off stream. Oh, that's Docker. I don't want you. Come on, Wayland, where are you? There you are. There we go. We'll connect. There we go. And let's see about solving this problem. Actually, this is This wants to just be a massive problem. Okay, there. Okay, I think... Alright, I think I've figured most of it out. Okay, since we're messing with it here, let me go ahead and show you. So yeah, so if you go up here, you can see I have set original, adaptive, I have image quality, I set the good. Originally it was set for balanced, but I'm going to set it for good image quality. We're now using AV1 for our decoding, and I currently have the resolution at 920 by 180. And then we also enable true color and copy file. So hopefully this will potentially solve the problem. I'm hoping that changing the codec to AV1, it will help speed things, because I have an AV1 decoder in here. I think most people do. So hopefully that should solve the problem. If it doesn't, then I don't know what to do. But anyway. So I have Mongo service, we have initialize. I would like to also initialize other connections. I think we'll continue with Mongo service. But because of the fact that this is going to be the history. Yeah, this should be history doc. Oh, let's go ahead and... Oh, I just call it history. Let's call this history doc. There we go. And from here, there we go. Okay, so with that in mind, what we can now do is start fleshing out the service. So the first thing I can think of is establishing the connection. I don't think we need to... I should probably initialize it outside. All right, let's go ahead and go over there. If you remember, the main functions are going to hold all of the stuff. So let's go to the GameFAQs main. Here's our services. We originally set it as a database. Mongo server. I know. I should probably add in a... Our database is GameFAQs, which is what's connecting us there. So this should be the general service. And in this particular case, I would like to initialize the documents instead. So let's... Yeah. I'm trying to think about a way to do this. Because ideally what I would like to do is import in history doc here. So we'll go with Mongo service, initialize, and then here I would simply put in the history doc, like so. Like that. And then once I simply do that and initialize, then it will automatically go, oh, you want to initialize the history doc. That means we can go, I already know exactly where to head. I know which file to access, which file to head to, or which database structure to set up. So we should probably set here, we should change or we should add to the initialization function. So we have initialize, and this is by string. So what we'll do is we'll have another initialize, and we'll call this initialize. We call it the DB variables. There we go. And then this will be the alias list again. But instead of a string, this will be a list of documents. So type. Oh. Yeah, this is going to be a list, and this will be a type. And document. Like so. There we go. Come on. Import in documents. There we go. Oh, and we need to put... I forgot. I accidentally deleted that. CLS. This is going to be a class method. There we go. Now, theoretically, we're going to be doing the same thing here. Like so. Now, let's see here. I have a kind of an idea of something to do. We have the document. I think in this particular case, for our documents, if you remember, we had an alias. The documents came with an alias. So where are you? History doc. So that's our collection name. This is our ID. Let's go ahead and load back up our... Oh. Come on, be friendly. Pie chart. There it is. Compass. Here we go. So we have this. We want to change this database right here. So in this case, it's initializing ROMDB or GameFAQs. And in this case, we simply put in our variable to initialize it, and that's where it sends us. For this case, because we're going to change this to, let's see, it should be DB alias. They say DB name. We'll go with DB name. And we're going to call this, and this will be the constants, or core const, dot DB variables. There we go. Okay then. And now that we have that, what we'll do is when we get to here, to our document, Mongo service, now when we have our let's go ahead and create our document real quick. Here we go, history doc. We'll create you. Oh wait, module core core constant has no attribute DB variables. I think I'm gonna have to re-input it. Let's just go ahead and restart for now. Let's just go ahead and restart for now. Let's see your history doc right here. We'll run that. Now let's head back over to our Mongo service. So first things first, I want to... it doesn't say how many instances this is using. I know of a couple already. Very annoying. Okay, anyway. So from here, we're going to get our alias list, which will be our documents. This will be the... This isn't DB name, this is the actual... This will be the doc. So we'll call this dbdoc. And here we go create db. Here's our creation right here for making our alias. I think that should be fine. I think it's fine. It's just that we're going to be tracking the documents. And the documents will be holding the information. So now we're here. Let's go to... Let's see here. History doc. Dot. And let's see here. DB... Oh, let's see here. DB field. That's... Yeah, here we go. I figured that as much. What we want is the meta. If I get the meta... What does it mean it has no history? Did you mean underscore meta? Underscore meta. There it is. Okay. There we go. And what do we have here? We have... Why do we call it ROMDB? Why is it called ROMDB? DB variables. Our field name is ID. We allow inheritance. Our collection is DB variables. ROMDB DB variables. I don't... Let's see here. Our collection will be DB variables. Our collection's actually going to change. It's actually going to be called history. So let's go back and change that. Let's go back and... Yeah, here it is. Collection is going to be history now. We'll call it... Oh. Oh, come on, fingers. History. And we'll call it DB history right here. Or we'll call it... We'll call it collection history. CL history. Let's rerun that. Let's go grab ourselves our meta. There you go, collection CL history. Now ROMDB, why is that? Let's see here. Oh, wait. DBNet. I see. Got it. This should be that. There we go. Okay then. Let's go over to Connect real quick. Let's go to Mongo Engine real quick. Brave backup. Mongo Engine. Let's just look for the documents. Here it is, user manual. Now what we want is the defining dictionaries. We want to see all the here we go. Oh, those are all of the fields. Field arguments. Okay, alright, we don't want the field, we want the meta. Where's meta? Meta. Here we go. Collection CM page. Meta indexes. No, that's not it. Okay, here we go. Index ops, create. Okay, when's the first time do we see meta? Collection. Here, there. DB field. If set, the name attribute will define indexes to the meta rather than the DB field otherwise. Okay, that might not be what we want then. Yeah, we don't want it to affect DB field. Not abstract is true. Collection. Not that one. No, not that one. Not the ordering, not the indexes. No. Title, not indexes, not meta field. Back to collection. Okay. I didn't. All right, let's go. Mongo engine document define database. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. List field. Okay, maybe if we go to another section. We're just looking for meta. We're looking to see how meta defines things. I see collection, max documents, indexes, ordering. They just stole this documentation from the website. Inheritance, collections again, max documents again. We started going in circles. Yeah, we started going in circles. Well, that didn't help. How to find the document schema. We're looking for meta. Here we go. Meta fields. Email. No, that's not it. Oh, come on. Come on, come on. I remember there being here. It was something like DB field. If I have to, I'll just import it in myself. Max document size or indexes ID field. Congratulations, we're going to do it ourselves. We're going to call it DB field. Or we're going to call it DB name. So once we go in here, what we're going to do is we're going to initialize. Where's Mongo server? Here we go. So yeah, DB name, and we're going to pull out our, here we go, Datadoc. Datadoc dot. Let's see here. We want to get the meta. Particularly, we want to get DB name. There we go. It complains. It says that it's a protected meta class. I wonder if it will work. History doc. Let's see here. There's our switch to DB, Cascade, clean, DB field. It has no attribute called DB field. All right. DB. Let's see here. We have a get DB. This will pretty much tell us which one is currently connected to. Yeah. Because ROMDB, which is our connection name. That's ROMDB is our connection. I think this should be fine right here. And then, last but not least, what we'll do is, actually, we should grab this here. Rather than calling it twice, what we'll do is we'll call this DB name. We'll put that there. So DB name. There we go. Okay. Nice. And the DB name happens to just be a string. Alright, nice, nice. Now then, we have that. Let's run this. Self dot, or not self, we want Mongo service dot initialize DB variables. And here we want to put in web, not web type element, we want to put in history doc. And it looks like it worked. Check it out. We establish a connection. Default is none. Alias is alias is none. That's not, we don't want, that's wrong. That is wrong. Yeah, that is very wrong. Okay then, all right. Alright, so let's see here. Why is it wrong? Well, let's go ahead and do this first. Alias list is going... Why don't... Yeah, alias list is going to equal history doc. And then db doc is going to equal... why did I do this? I think it's because I'm an idiot. Hey, welcome back, chat. I just noticed that the ad's passed. As I said, I need to put something crazy up on screen. So now we have db docked. So if we go here and go to meta dot get db name, we get an error. String object has no attribute meta. Huh? What do you mean has no meta? Why do you say it's a string? ROMD... Wait a minute. Am I... Wait a minute. Let's see here. History doc is a meta class. If I set this to db doc, so type db doc. That's all right. That's the meta. Okay, let's go to alias list. Happens to be a that. If I get the first element, it should be that. So if I go that, then db doc is equal to db doc is now... I wonder what happened. It claims a string, which this is not what this is supposed to be. Type documents. There we go. Let's try and run that. See it. Oh yeah. Okay, let's do that. Now let's try and initialize again. There we go. Okay, what is our alias? Our alias is still none. It might be because this is protected. Yeah, it might be because it's protected. So is there a way to get the meta class without going into the protected file? Let's see here. Mongo engine, access meta data. Let's see here. Ensure index. No, not ensure indexes. Underscore made meta. My meta. No, not my meta class. There's a lot of... It might be... We might maybe get away with underscore meta. Let's see. Let's see here. So, db name. db doc. db doc dot underscore meta. No. All right. We cannot get... That doesn't contain the meta file. Okay then. But this is protected. So how do I... How about we do this real quick? How about we reset everything? There we go. Mongo service. There. Mongo service, initialize HistoryDB, and history... Oh. History doc is not defined. We need to define that real quick. Here's our history doc. There we defined it. And, okay then. It claims it worked. Connection established. There we go. Okay. It is working. Okay, we can access the protected class. All right. So from there, we can now initialize. So any of our data that's going to be put in the DB variables, what we can do is we can simply toss that in. So whenever we initialize, as in if we initialize here, let's change this to initialize DB variables. There we go. So now I just need to pass in our history doc. It will initialize it perfectly fine for us, and we can move on our merry way. That way I don't have to worry about meddling with, you know, database types and whatnot. Everything can be stored wherever, everything can be stored in the back. All right then, and now, okay, so now we have that. We initialized it. Let's get back to our history service here. So let me think. What do we need for our history service? Yeah, what do we need? So for our history service, we want to try... Let's go back to our GIMP real quick. So for history, we need a string which will identify our information. We need a date. We need a tag because we might want to add in extra data. So these are the main three things we need. They could be stored as individual documents in history. ID. Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that might be it. Okay then. If that's the case, let's see our history doc. Let's see our history doc right here. What we'll simply do is we'll define, and this will be get history. And in this particular case, what we'll want to do is we'll want to input in our, really it's going to be anything. And actually, literally, it is going to be anything. Yeah, because the idea is that this is going to store anything. So we should probably call this the idea, or we'll call this the variable name, which is a string. And this will return I want it to return a dictionary. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to return a dictionary. That means we're going to store everything in dictionaries. So for here, we have our web history. And we will call the other thing. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out the best way of sorting this data. It's amazing how just trying to think this through can sometimes take an awful lot of brain power. So here we go. Content. Content is going to be a dict field. This means what we can do, let's mark down what this is going to be. We're going to change it eventually to an enum field, but theoretically it's going to be even more complicated than that. All right, I know what we're going to do. I know what we're going to do. So we have base doc. Base doc is all the audit information. Content, I don't think we even need content. I don't think we even need data. I think all we need is this. We're just going to create a file called history doc. And we'll just import in everything. I think we can keep web type. We can keep web type because we can use that for a tag. Actually, I don't think we even need web type. I think this is, I really think this is just what we need. All of this. And then when we go to our core documents, let's see here. Where are your core documents? Here are base doc. Because if you look, we have audit, ID, name, and tag. I believe this is all we'll need for our history. Yeah, I think this will be all we need for the history. And we can set up the what some of these will be. So, all right then. I'm trying to think this thoroughly. So let's see here. If we go with Git history, where are you? I see MongoCert. Where is it? Here, history service. All right then. So what we'll simply do here is we have self.classdoc dot. This should be query collection. There we go. Well, query collection. Now, in this case, we're just going to get the variable name. I think maybe we should probably put in arguments here. Again, I think this is where the problem is because there's 1,000 different ways to do it, and we have to decide what the best way to. I'm trying to think of what the best way to do. Part of me feels like we should just set it to be the ID. I mean, I can just change this and we'll say make it the variable ID, and then we just start searching for that everywhere, and then I just have to keep track of where all the IDs are. That means then I don't have to worry about things like tags or, I don't have to worry about tags or other stuff. And all I have to really do is every time I call it. Now, I think what we should do is, this should actually be something here. History doc. We do have an audit. That will be when this was created and last updated. But what I can do here, I'll put down last let's see here, we'll call it latest DT. This will be a date time field. There it is, date time field. Date time field, there it is. And this will be the DB field name will equal latest DT. Let's not call it DB, DT. There we go. Latest DT. Oh, hey, I think changing the quality helped out. I'm not seeing the buds anymore. It is a bit more choppy. But yeah, okay, I fixed the problem. Okay then. We should have latest DT down. And we already have tags and everything. But the idea would be here. So now when we go to service, we go for variable name. We should also define, this will be save history. And in this case, what we can take in is in this case, what we want to take in is actual history doc. So we'll call this the doc. We'll call this doc. This will be the history doc. And we're not doing anything here, but the idea is that we'll go to self dot save. And then we'll simply do doc like that. But the first thing we want to do is we'll want to update it. Or no, actually no, we don't want to update it. We don't want to update it. The reason why I'm trying to separate these two out is because I want to make a clear code distinction between the two. I don't want to put the history doc in our save file. I want to keep that separated. So if we're going to do any history saving, we have to call the service. This is kind of, in programming, this is, you can call this building programmatic walls. The idea is that we will wall off code into different ways of interfacing with it, thus making whoever interfaces with it, they will think differently about it. In this particular case, if we want to save our history, we have to actually go to our history. We have to go to it and save it. Because this is a history doc, we don't have a DB name. But we still need to initialize this. So in order to do that, we will grab the same code that we actually, you know what? Let's see here. We technically want to keep all of this here. I'm trying to think, because theoretically what we're creating is going to be a... Let's see here. Let's copy this. Let's copy this. And this is going to be the variable service. Let's go ahead and import in our... Let's go ahead and inherit this our base service here. Now with this in mind, we can get rid of everything in here because we already have that. The main point though, the main point is how we're going to interface with the database. So we have here class doc. So everything is going to be going through class doc. So let's do this. We'll initialize here. But instead of database name, when we initialize, let's see here. Oh yeah, we're going to super this as well. Let's see here. When we initialize here, we bring in DB name. All right. Initialize. Yeah, we shall still... We don't need that. All right, then let's see. Okay, I'm going to call this we'll just call this DB name for now because we do need to get that. But we're going to grab our class documents. We're going to enter the metadata, and then we're going to get our DB name. And then we're going to create this here, like so. I know it's going to complain. Yeah, it's going to complain. But from here, we can then bring this into our history service. There we go. And then that way we do not have to... We can still carry the ID, but now when we initialize, we first define our document in our... We then initialize, and then we find our cache. There we go. All right, then. So then that way, when we do this, whenever we want to... It's all now focused primarily on what we set the database name. So yeah, whatever we define as the database name, we will input it here. I can't help but feel like there's some hidden massive security flaw in here, because I'm relying on DB name, and if somebody changes it, then it might run an error. That might throw an error for me. But what I could do is, why don't we do that here? We'll call this the connections. This is going to be a dictionary. Oh, and I'm just going to call it a dictionary for now. But the main point is that let's see here. Let's see here. I'm thinking. Because what I want to do is I want to connect these together. History doc is connected to... history doc is connected to something else, like history service. We haven't defined history service yet, though. Oh. I think we'll just keep it like this for now. But no, there is probably a glaring security problem in how we do the defining. Because our history doc, we define the DB name here. If someone manages to, try and modify history doc, I don't know how they would. Maybe someone's trying to create, when someone tries to create a variable. This is backend though. So hopefully that should not it shouldn't cause too much trouble, because theoretically when we get to the front end stuff, we're only going one way with the data. You're not allowed to, you can only query when we get to the front end. There will be no savings, there will be no, we do have to set up a connection, so I might have to make sure that the queries are rock tight and solid. Oh, welcome back, chat. But yeah, so I wish I could find somebody who is a security expert and we can have a conversation about this. You always can learn when you talk to more people. Collaboration is the best key to learning. If you want to learn something, collaborate with someone, because then that way their knowledge can kind of blend into what you know, as in it can bleed into what you know, and then your knowledge can bleed into what they know. And all in all, everybody learns and they get better. So collaboration is the key to learning, which is why it's horrifying when I look into businesses and I look into academia and I see so many people say, no collaborations, no interacting with people. You are alone in your project by yourself. Work on it. That is the work. Whoever thinks that is they just do not understand how people learn. So if you ever want to learn something, collaborate. I think I'm going to keep that as for now. We'll just simply grab this. When we want to save the document, we will just ask to save the history. This way we can set things up for we can set things up on our end. We want to get the history, we'll simply do a query of the variable name. I think that will be the best course. And ID. And this will be variable ID. There we go. And let's return this. Since we are doing that, we can. This is actually now just a document. This is just going to be a history doc. All right then. There we go. Now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and set up our. Let's see here. We want to go to GameFAQs main. We're initializing history doc, so that is set. Next on the list, what we'll want to do is we'll want to go over to our scraper here. We'll want to import. Man, we're importing a lot of services. Oh my. We are importing in a lot, but we kind of need them. Self dot history service is going to equal history service. And then here we want to put in, let's see here, history service is going to be history service, and this is going to be a none. Let's import in service. There we go. Okay then, and now when we're down here, we can do the download sitemap. Okay then, so first things first, we have download sitemap. Selenium connection. That is not a connection. I'm going to move this because this is all sitemap. I'm going to move this up here. The connection stuff is up there. But here we go. Download sitemap. Download console data. And then from here, we'll simply go, we'll define download all console data. There we go. This will be a none. Now for here, what we can then do here will be with console, or for, this is where we want to get the history data. So self.history service.get history. Our variable name will simply be console. So this will be console, let's say scrape console. There we go. So that is our document information. And this will be our history doc. History doc, there we go. There we go, history doc. Actually, if it's, we should probably see here, let's see here. If, okay, we're going to change this up a bit. We're going to whale this, like so. If we can have this, then we have our history doc. Else, what we're going to do is self.create our history service, create doc. Okay, we should probably move this up to the top. Here we go. This is going to be the, so this will be the scrape history or scrape console history. There we go. Oh. There we go. Now let's go ahead and copy this now. There we go. So we'll go ahead and put that in here. So we want to get that. So if we do not have it, or so let's change this to not. What we're going to do is we're going to create the document. We'll call this doc, like so. Okay, what was the easy way to do this again? So this will get us our document right here. If it doesn't exist, then we'll create it. You know, okay. Let's do this. Actually, seeing how it maze, I already have a get history right here. But I have a get and create over it. I'm doubling up on code. We should probably make sure we don't do that. Where are you, history service? Yeah, we're doing get history, which is just a basic query. And then if it doesn't work, then we have our here, which will be get or create documents. All right. I am looking to see what's. I am looking to see what's. Because theoretically, we can just run this instead of call get history. Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go ahead and get rid of the get history function. That being said, let's copy our query for our. Let's copy the query. There we go. Okay. And then let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's get back into our scraper. So this will be now. So that's our query right there. No, yeah, okay. All right. Get or create doc. We'll do this. Because we're calling get or create, we don't have to. This is going to have the if statement in there already, so we don't have to worry about that. But what we do need to do is doc is equal to history doc. But what we do need to do is, because of the fact that we're manually setting the some of the data now. So if you remember, we now have the time. Latest DT. So let's go back to our scraper. Here it is. If this is none, as in we don't have anything, then we're going to go doc dot latest DT is going to be equal to, and we'll set it to the most recent time, which happens to be now. Datetime dot datetime dot now. And we should probably import datetime. There we go. Else doc, and this will be the latest DT. And this will equal doc dot latest DT. There we go. And then last but not least, we also want to grab what the latest, if you remember also, it should be not just ID. We'll be storing the information in name, or we'll be storing the information in name as well. So name, and this will happen to be the last console. Will be doc name. There we go. And then here we'll go doc.name is equal to nothing. Let's see here. And then last one, actually, theoretically, we don't need to do the else statement here. Once we do that, we can do this here. There we go. Okay. We continue his speech. Oh, some guy made 1 hour, 10-minute speech about a Minecraft movie in an elevator at random people. That sounds crazy. Why would someone do that? I guess it's in the vein of getting content. Yeah, I would probably turn that video off immediately as soon as I see it. I'm only really focused on learning. It might be because I'm old. I am a really old person. I think I was around when dinosaurs walked the earth. But because of this, I tend to like to focus on learning new things. And all of my feed is nothing but learning new things about biology, about chemistry, physics, programming. I mean, you name it, and I'm having fun trying to learn about it. Granted, it's all superficial, but still, I'm learning something new. So if I had a video show up of a person agitating someone in an elevator, I definitely would skip it. In fact, I don't even. Anyway, let's continue with programming. So let's see here. Now then, So now that we have these two variables, what to do with them? I know what I'm going to do with console. We have our list. So let's get our console list. So here's console list. It's going to be a list of enums, game console enum, and simply, and let's see here. We do not need the acronym, so we'll just grab it. We'll just grab it. X, or we'll call this console for console in game console enum. So there is our list of consoles. Oh, I know. All right, I think now we'll go for. Actually, you know what? Why am I making a variable? Let me get rid of that. We just want this right here. There we go. We want that. Now, if last console is equal to console.code, or Let's see here. Yeah, this is... Let's think here. Let's think here. We're looking for this location here. Okay, I know. Let's go back to that. Here we go. We have console list. So console list dot let's see here, index. There we go. And then we'll go with last console. And then from there we can then let's see here. This is going to, we should probably do, I'm trying to think of what to do. Games console dot get by code. And this will be doc name. There we go. We create a list. We find out what our index is. And this will be the console index. This will be an integer. And then for index console in enumerate console list if IDX is less than console index, continue. Otherwise, we will go with self.download console data. We will then input in console. I know we still grabbing topic, but I don't think we actually use it, do we? No, we actually do. We do for the extension. Okay, then. Download. So we should probably put that up here. This should be the topic. So web page type enum. We'll put here topic. There we go. Topic. And theoretically, what if we want to do, we could... Alright, theoretically what we could do is we could write it up here so that... Let's see here, we have console enum. Now let's see here. So here, we have console enum, we have latest dictionary. We're going to get this from the name. Without knowing the actual strings, we can't really split the name. But we can generate our own name, which was what we can do. So what instead, I'm going to set this to tag. Like that. So if we're going to create this, so yeah, we're going to create this. And all right then. Yeah, here we go. Okay then. What happens if I do quick refresher? Let's see here. If I have a list, we're going to call it G. We have a list we're going to call D. Oh, we have an add. Okay. D, C, and we'll go with G. If I do G dot index, and I'm looking for C, it will produce a 1. If I put in a none, it will give me an error. Okay, none type is not in the list. If I put in A, it will throw an error. Okay then. So it has to be in the list. All right. If that's the case, if we have a... So that means... it will throw an error if I try to index it. So if... let's see here. If last console in console list, we'll grab the console index. Else, console index is going to be equal to 0. This should be the last console we stopped at, so it has to be greater or less than equal to. Or this will go right after our index. So if our index is less than, if we go with I should probably change this to -1 because we haven't started yet. So technically we're not even at 0 yet. So I'm going to set it to -1. Or better yet, we're going to set it to 0 because that's not less than, so we can't continue. So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. Let's see here. If our console index is less than our IDX, we'll do that my brain is having trouble, or my brain is just kind of hopping back and forth, not figuring out yet what to do. Okay, but it's trying to have trouble figuring out what to do, but I know what we can do. So let's see here. We'll set it to 0. And then this way we can simply, because of that, we can simply go through. We'll then run here. Now we should probably set up a, what I could theoretically do is set up a crash system, a crash, if it crashes, then we just save everything and call it a day. But I might set up something else. As in, I only want to run this for an hour or for like 30 minutes. So let's run it for 30 minutes, and then when we're done, we will shut down. We'll save whatever we collected and then shut down. So if we have that in mind, let's see here. Latest DT. We're going to run through here. If the latest, we do download. Then we're going to download the console data. And I'm going to do that. Let's do this. Let's put up here a timeout. We'll create a variable. We'll call it scrape timeout. This is going to be an integer. We'll say 30. Now then. So now we have latest DT. So let's go ahead and call that. So we'll call D equals datetime dot datetime dot now. So that's our D right there. If I do D minus D, we will get a time delta. And from here, is this in hours or is this in minutes? Let's go ahead and let's see. Let's see here. If we call this in, we have seconds, milliseconds. Oh my. How about we go with seconds? All right. So we'll go ahead and do that. So we set up our latest time right here. Now, if we'll set this to self dot timeout, a scrape timeout. If our, let's see here. Now then, if our latest DT minus, or actually latest DT, and we'll put right here, this will be date time dot now. If this right here is minus DT, and we will call this, and we'll call seconds. If that is greater than, and we want to divide this by 60 to turn it into minutes. So if that is greater than, if that is greater than our timeout, then we want to leave our for loop. In this case, we'll break. And then from here, we will then go doc dot latest DT is going to be equal to our current time. So latest DT equals... Actually, I noticed that a problem here. I noticed a problem here, so we'll have to fix that. Let's see, and this will be datetime dot now. So yeah, if we're going to get the latest date time, this right here should theoretically be a check. This should be when we are running. So instead what we'll do is here we'll call start time. There we go. So yeah, we'll do this start time. Once these two, there we go, like that. The latest DT should be a check. The idea here is if latest DT is let's see here. Let's get now. We'll put that here. Latest DT. And in this particular case, we are interested in days. If this is great, if this happens to be, if the amount of days happens to go above a certain amount, we'll set 5. Then what we'll do is we'll simply raise an error. And we'll simply say, scraping occurred this week. Scraping occurred in last 5 days. There we go. Now the reason why we want to do this is because I don't want to keep spamming it. I don't want to keep spamming it. If I was successfully able to scrape and from start to finish, then I would like to be able to make sure to avoid doing it later. I have a feeling I should probably move this into a different location because a lot of services are going to be using this. I might, as I said, I might create a base service which will hold all of the time information and the time data that will be responsible for tracking it. And then we could simply just call various functions. This way I don't have to write it over and over again. But for now, let's just establish what we have, and then we will consolidate and parse it out as we go. But yeah, so if the last time we did this, it was not greater than 5, less than 5, then we have, say, that we throw an error. And if it is, then we'll start our time. We'll go for however long we set it. And then afterwards, we'll break. We'll then set our latest time. We will set the tag to equal the console dot code. There we go. Let's see here. Yeah, there it is. Console.code. Because it's complaining, we're going to set console here is going to equal. This is going to be a games console enum. We'll set that to none for now. There we go. That way we won't run any potential risks. Now if game console enum, let's see here. Yeah, we're pretty much going to automatically set it. There we go. So we set that. We set that. So, and then last but not least, we should probably set the name. So doc.name. Let's see here. For name, it's going to be topic. I think that should be the ID. As I was mentioning, we're creating an ID. We'll still set this, but we'll set it up here. Topic. As for our documents, let's see here. Here we go. Scrape console history. And we're calling this Scrape console. Scrape console history. Man. Okay then. I see what's going on. I have two conflicting ideas going on. I'm programming it one way, but thinking of sorting it out another way. Yeah, yeah, okay, so each individual is going to be this. So this should be the name right here. Yeah, this should be the name. This should be a combination of our data. So we'll say topic plus underscore, or let's see here. I'm going to combine these together. This would be scrape history and our topic. Like that. There we go. Okay. And then from here, we can then we'll change this back to topic. We'll change this back to topic. There we go. Why are you complaining? Unexpected types. Web type enum. Oh yeah, we need to set this to code. There we go. Okay. There we go. Nice. Okay. Now then, whenever we want to find the data, we can simply go, we can get that. This should be very easy to get a hold of. And then here we can then, if it doesn't exist, we'll then create it. Or let's see here. Yeah. Because if it doesn't have the time, then it won't have the other item. So we'll create those. We'll then get our this, and then our latest console info, which will be in our tags. And then afterwards, we run through And then once we get to 30 seconds, we will break our loop. We'll then save our time. We'll save the console. And then here we'll go to doc dot, or we're calling this doc. And I'm going to, in order to not get confused, let's rename this. Okay then. And then from here, history doc dot, or self dot history service, save, and then history doc. There we go. And this should be, we're saving, this is looking for, yeah, that's correct. Okay. Typing is correct. So now, whenever we want to call download all consoles, what it will do is it will go in, it will start extracting, it'll go in, it'll see if we have history. If we do, then it will collect the history, find out how long it's been, find out, then it'll start. It'll extract for 30 minutes. And even then, I wonder if if that's still too much time when it comes to scraping. I might want to delay it even more. I want to either shrink the time, as in instead of doing it for 30 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, or I should increase the delay. Because if you remember down here, we set a delay in our extraction code. Let's see here. Where do we put our delay? Oh yeah, it's actually in our go-to URL right here. If I recall, we delayed going to it for 6 seconds. Yeah, I should probably put a delay somewhere in here. There should be another delay. There's a sleep for 2, a sleep for 4. Yeah, well, I might have to add in a delay. Why don't we put in a delay somewhere just to be extra safe? It does mean that, okay, let's see, where's download console? Right here. So once it gets to the very end, right here, once it gets to the very end and we start checking the time, we're going to sleep for 30 seconds. There we go. Yeah, we're going to sleep for 30 seconds. I know that it's going to extend out how long it takes to scrape. But again, we're trying to prevent ourselves from getting banned. And we don't want to force we don't want to DDoS them either. But with that in mind, I think if we run this code now and we start doing this, it should work perfectly fine. Now this is what? Download all console data. So this should be for just extracting the data, all of the sitemap data. So download all console sitemap data. And then here is download console. Let's see here. That's the game. I'm busy looking through here to see what we have. There's the text, yeah. Yeah. So this is all about sitemap. So let's rename this as well. This is download console sitemap data. And then this is extract console sitemap data. There we go. Okay. Let's set this up and run it. Oh. Oopsie, I accidentally went the wrong way. Okay. And ads are going to start in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and run this. Let's set this up. We should actually, let's assume let's go to the very beginning. Let's assume I'm just starting. Oh, oh, that's fun. That's fun. It happens. It happens. My wife, her second language is English as well, and there's still a lot of things that she tends to sometimes get confused. Actually, English is my primary language, and I get confused with things. English is a borked language. It really is. It's de facto, which means everyone has to use it, but it is a borked language. But it's fun. It's fun to see what kind of errors people had when they were younger when it comes to English. We'll go ahead and initialize everything here. There we go. Now let's load our scraper. There it is, scraper. And we are here now. You do know Spanish. Oh, that's fun. Spanish. I actually learned a little bit of Spanish when I was younger. I never managed to get further than only preliminary Spanish because the university that I was, or not university, but the schooling that I was in, they filled students, they put students in classes based off of availability, not based off of what you've done. So if you're going to be a football player or you're going to work in sports, they would quickly shuffle you into the sports types of fields. And if you were someone else, they would just throw you in a random class that that had a lot of space. I took year one Spanish 3 out of my 4 years in middle school. It was ludicrous. I learned the exact same things over and over and over. It was, yeah. It was ludicrous. And the teacher sucked really badly at teaching too. So I didn't even get to learn much in that regards either. All right, let's go with self dot download all console data. And we want to do this for our game. And here we go. All right, first problem. History doc object has no attribute, latest DT. History doc. All right, let's see here. Latest DT. It should. All right, let's see here. Let's first do that. Oh. All right then, so let's see here. Web type enum dot game. There we go. We do this. So now we have history doc. History doc, latest DT. Let's go to history doc and see. Did I rename it something wrong? No, it's late. It is correct. Latest DT is here. Yeah, it is correct. If latest DT, let's see here. History doc has no attribute, latest DT. That's a bit strange. That's actually very strange. Because it's right there. History doc is right there. Right there. Let's see here. What about, let's see, history doc dot name. It has Mongo field string. Oh, wait a minute. Am I doing something stupid? No. We're calling it history doc. It should. Let's see here. History doc dot name. Yeah. History doc dot latest DT. Very strange, actually. That is actually a bit perplexing now. It has, because it actually says that we have that. So why is it throwing an error? Tsukukomi of Spanish. Tsukuyomi. I actually don't know what that means. You'll have to enlighten me. What does Tsukuyomi mean? Let's see here. Actually, let's go over to History Doc. Latest DT. I wonder if I should change the name. Oh, I see what the problem is. Okay, yeah. I see what the problem is. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I found the problem. I found the problem. Oh. There we go. Let's fix this. I forgot because I forgot to finish the typing. All right, we'll go ahead and run that. We'll establish our scraping. We'll then set up our scraper. There we go. Yeah, okay. Since I updated it, since I updated it, we're no longer getting those artifacts. That's nice to know. We'll go ahead and move that to the side. Now, first things first, let's just try and run the function by itself. So download all console data by game. There we go. Okay, an error occurred. Scraping occurred in last 5 days. All right, so we threw an error. Yeah, okay, then, yeah, I know what the error is. I know what the error is. We just set this latest DT today. Okay, then. We just set this for today. So how do we solve this? The simplest answer is to make this a none. Or let's see here. The simplest answer is instead of, let's see here. This should be a none. Now we don't even have to, so we should do this. If historic dot latest DT and that. That way, if it is, let's see here. We'll say is not none. If that is not none and it's less than 5 days. That way, when we come down here at the end, we'll actually set it proper. Okay. Let's go ahead and just rerun this code because we're not messing with the database stuff, so we don't have to reset everything. So let's just run this. All right then, now let's go with self.download console. There, and there we go. None type has no attribute yet. Okay. Let's see here. So let's go ahead and run this now. So this is an error within the code. So first things first. This. Hmm. Oh, I see, I see. Let's just do that. If this is, if that is none, then we do that. Else, there we go. And this will be latest DT is none. There we go. Let's go ahead and run that. So we'll run this like so. So what is latest DT? Latest DT is none. All right. Now let's see. If we run this code, we don't get an error. All right. So then we'll run this code now here. And none type get. Okay. So why are we getting a none type get? Data sources get console. All right. Let's hop in here real quick. We're in data sources. Here we go. So the data sources should... Oh, I know why. We only have PlayStation and Nintendo 64. But at the same time, we want this one. I thought we were writing code for that one. Let's see here. Console sitemap. This and topic. Okay, well, we're obviously throwing an error at... It says 98, so it should be right here. So let's see here. What is our console? If I run the code, our console is Panasonic 3DO. We already have our topic. So we're now going to here. So if I run this here. So first thing, let's get the sitemap data. There. So the data source, all right. That should be none. But if I go to, what about data source? Let's look at data sources. And that is all of them. That is all of them. So why is it not working? Let's go here and see about topic. How much do you bet this has to be code? Because of how things are going right now. How much do you bet this needs to be code? There we go. Okay, yeah. It was because of the fact that that needs to be code. Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fixing to do once we get the enums working. All right, I'm going to go ahead and restart this one more time. I can kind of restart here as many times as I want because we're not extracting anything. We'll just keep reloading the first page. For all the people know, we're just very anxious, wanting to extract or wanting to see what's going on the default page. There we go. Oh. Okay, let's see. Let's see here. This is 3DO. Yep. There we go. Check it out. It is working. And it is working well. Okay then. So yeah, there it is. And we know the other code works fine. Okay, so now we are effectively extracting all of the game information. Check it out. Oh, it is working. It is working quite well. So let's see here. So this is a temporal loop. Okay then. So this is a temporal loop. I'm going to probably be rewriting this frequently, so we might want to outsource this as another function. Maybe we can outsource it as a history service. Ideally, what we would do is we would pass in our variable list, we would pass in our function, and say run this across time. And then we could simply just have the history surface keep track of it. That's one way of doing it. Another potential way would be to... Yeah, another potential way would be to create a... Because right now, if you look, we're not inheriting anything. So we could create it an inherited class, maybe call it base scraper or something. And then from there, we could then run this stuff here. I mean, that would also potentially work. I don't want to just copy and paste it all the time, especially with the code. We'll be doing a lot of this regularly. Plus, the code we have set up here, the only things that are going to really be changing is this right here and the function that gets run, which would be right around here. Maybe some of even the console stuff. So ideally, I definitely should split this off into its own separate function. Maybe, as I said, make it a history service. So why don't we entertain that idea while we let this run? Let's see here. We'll define this. We'll go, let's call this, so run function. Yeah, let's go with run function on timer. And then this will be our function, which will be a function. And then we want our variables, which will be a... Technically it could be anything. Let's see here. Where are you, function? This is a type. Actually, I wonder if I type in... There we go. Sim table, functions. Okay, typing. Oh, yeah. Where are you, history service? There it is. Okay. Typing. I don't see a typing in here. Okay, then. Define cat. Return meow. Cat. Meow. Type cat. Function. Yeah, I don't get it. Okay. That's what I put in. Function. Maybe it wants the bulletin? Oh, alright. Did they change the way that they do typing when it comes to functions? Python type function. How much you bet it's actually going to... Yeah, it's actually going to... Okay then, how about we do this? Let's do Python parentheses type function. No? Okay then, what is the type of a function? What is the type of a function? Can I get the type of a function? Thank you. Type is... Nope. Is types.function type. Okay, so it should be called function type. Okay. All right. Function type. And we'll go ahead and import this, and this should be types. Huh. I wonder why it's not in types. It better, it might crash. I don't know. But the main thing is, let's go to our... Actually, let's see here. Does this crash? No, it didn't. Where are we now? We are on 3DS. Oh, we've moved up. We are now in a complete... It is working like a charm. Look at this. We're now at the end of 3DS. Oh my. We're moving much faster than I thought. Okay. Let's go to the database. Let's see here. This is not data sources. This should be our extraction. 404. And that happens to be 3. Yeah, oh my. We are... This is going to... this is ballooning fast. Oh. Alright, we're going to have a lot of data pretty soon. Oh, we're going to have a lot of data pretty soon. We'll have to parse this. If I wanted, I could theoretically start running the parser right beside this. Because they're separate functions, and we initialize the data, we initialize everything separately. I could have this just running and waiting every 2 minutes to parse. I'm going to wait on that, because the last thing I want is to crash my little box. It doesn't have enough memory as it does already. Okay then. Let's get to our scraper. Let's copy this. Let's see here. I'm going to copy... Actually, what should I copy? You forgot to answer. No, that's fine. I'm busy trying to figure out... Okay. I want to create a function that will take this in and then time it. So what we should do is... Oh yeah, we should probably put here timer. So variable. We'll call this input variable. We'll call this timer. And this will be an integer. Let's get that there. Okay then. Now with that being said, our variable name and our... All right, so if you look here, we can see, if you look here, our variable name is theoretically going to be both topic and console. So we have two variable names. So in this case, what I would like to do is input variables. We'll make this a list. And then we'll just you just input a list of our variables, and we'll have to tell people, be sure to put them in order. Order of input. Okay then. Yeah, order of input, because ultimately what we're going to do is we're going to do function, will be funct. We will then run that, and then it'll be input. Our input variables, but we're going to put an asterisk right in front of it, which means put the stuff out into the function. So that's what, that right there, that should solve. So yeah, make sure the input variables are the same. Let's go ahead and copy all of this. Actually, I'm kind of want to keep that. I want to copy this. And yeah, I want to copy that. That way what we can do is we can start right here. That's going to be our function right here. This entire bit right here is going to be our function, but the bit afterwards, let's see here. Yeah, right here. So this will be, let's see here. Action. This is a Boolean. This is true. While we have action, we're going to run our function right here. Oh, hold on, let's go ahead and grab that right there. We're going to run our function. We're then going to check and see. We're going to then check and see where we are. If we make it to a certain time, as in this should be the timer, we'll then break. Otherwise, we continue going. Now, let's see here. So that should be running the function with on a timer. But because of how our function is set up, theoretically it would go through the entire thing first and then stop. So we want to modify this now. What we want to do here is... I know. What we'll do is... let's go ahead and store a variable. We'll call this our timer. We'll call this the... we'll call it clock timer. This will simply be an integer. And we'll set it to... let's see here. I guess we'll set it to 0 for now. Because the idea is that when we run through here, we will set this. So self... let's see here. Trying to think... oh, let's see here. It is a oh, okay. It is a genjutsu. All right. Genjutsu. It allows you to trap the target and illusion create... oh, this sounds a lot like Naruto. Is this Naruto? Okay, yeah, I know what this is. Yeah, I see right there, Naruto. In the Naruto sea. Yeah, I did read Naruto. I did read it. I just don't remember the names of half the things. I could describe them for you. Yeah, my knowledge is very good at describing things, not so much at remembering the exact name. This is one reason why I have to always keep checking variable names. Because I'll remember what it does, and I'll remember what it does, and I remember where it goes, but I'll forget the name. Speaking of which, this is going to be a big pain in the butt. Yeah, this is going to be a big pain in the butt. Okay, I think I'm going to have to change where, because I wanted to just run, I just wanted to, actually, you know what? Before I do any changes, I haven't committed anything yet. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go ahead and oh, let's see here. We are here. We want to be. I'm in enum. I thought I made some changes there. All right. Well, no changes there. All right. You know what? Let's just add everything here. What is in our list of stuff that we worked on? Okay, I knew it. I knew there was enum changes. I guess I did a typo. Okay. So let's see here. What exactly did we do again for updating the enums? We added get by code. Okay. All right. All right. So git commit will message this. This will be add function. Apply code to enums. Let's see here. Update scrapers to use. Update scrapers to use. Let's see here. Actually, we should say add history documents and service. Update scrapers to use dict field. Remove enum field. Yeah, remove enum fields for fixing. Okay, what else did we add? What else did we do? Oh yeah, add to core constant. So add to core const. So add DB name or DB field or DB names to core const. There we go. All right then. Now let's go to our scraper. Oh. So git, add all of that, get status. Oh. There we go. And this happens to be, let's go ahead and add this. This is going to be update GameFAQs scraper to extract console data or console sitemap by history or with history tracking. There we go. And then finally, git commit, and this happens for this. We happen to add parsing for console sitemaps. Add initial parsing for game info data. There we go. Okay. All right, we have logged all of our changes. What we should do now is start making our modifications. That way, if I decide, oh, I hate what I did, go back, I can just revert the changes. Man, where are we now? We are on the CD32. Okay, where's this? Okay, how much data did we extract? Oh, we just extracted another 80. Okay. All right, fair enough. Oh yeah, this is turning out quite nicely. All right then. Yeah, this is going very smoothly. Oh, and thinking about it, one other thing we should do. I should probably put in here. I want to put in a. I want to do this. We're going to put in an override. Override. This is going to be a bool, and this is going to be false. Because what I want to do is if... Oh, I called it boot. I called it boot. Okay, so the reason why I want to put it in override is because if we make it to the end and our last console is... So yeah, it'll be pretty much right here. If... Alright, we should go and generate the list. Let's generate the list at the beginning. There we go. Now then. If console, or let's see here, if last console is equal to the end of console list, so we'll go with console list -1. If these two are equal, then pretty much what we want to do is we'll just simply logger.debug all console data extracted. We'll put in the topic, like topic code. There we go. There we go. Now this is assuming if override. Let's see here. If override. So if we're at the last console and override is false. So if override is false and this, there we go. I spelled overall. Yeah, I need to get an extra R in there. There we go. So if override is false, as in we don't want to override it, and we're at last console, then we'll say everything is done. Otherwise, what we will do is we will log, and we will simply say, actually, we're already logging. We'll log that saying all console data has been extracted for topic. There we go. That way, if I want to, and if it's set to override, so this should be an, let's see here, elif override is equal to true, then last console is going to be equal to none. Oh, we'll put this as is. There you go. And then else should be, that should be fine, because it can be an either or. So if it's false, we're just going to go on like none of our business. If it's override, then we will reset our last console. Let's see here. History tag right here. I'm just making a quick peek to make sure everything makes sense. And when we create, actually question, when do I define tag? Now, actually, when do I define tag? The first time I do it, oh, that's right here. When I get code, and then this should be, because this is going to be none, it's going to come back as a none. So, okay, yeah. So yeah, that means setting it to none here should help run this. So if none is in console list, then we get that. Otherwise, we set console index to 0. And then we just start running, because we're doing an index count at this point. Oh, okay, there we go. So yeah. So really, okay, I'm going to quickly commit that change that we just did. Let's go ahead and quickly commit that change. So okay, then so add override to scrape or scrape console data to scrape console sitemap. Okay, there we go. Man, this is going far. Check it out. We're now in Android. I think Android is going to be very long. I really do. Let's take a quick peek. I'm actually a bit happy about this. If you look how long that is. Oh. Yeah, okay. I'm glad that they do it this way because sometimes if the sitemap is too long, they'll make an A, a B, and a C, and it should change the sitemap right up here theoretically, but sometimes they don't do that. So I'm quite happy that they do it like this. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Nice. So now we have that. We have set our console index. So this should be our... Yeah, I need to rewrite this function a bit. I need to rewrite this function. I need to rewrite this so that... Because this is in the innermost loop. That is in the innermost loop. I know. Here's our function. Here's our input variables. And then what we should probably do is, instead of putting our input variables... Actually, no, I think input variables will be fine. We should probably put this as the loop list. This will be a list of anything. And then from here, while true, we can then go through the loop list. Run function on timer. So I don't think we need action anymore. Let's see here. For item in loop list, we're then going to run the function with our variables. But let's see here. Theoretically, this should be item and then variables. Like, oh, we got an error. Okay, what's the error? Can only concatenate a string. All right, what is this error? Okay. All right. Where do we crash? Document not found. Creating new documents, which would be Z. It crashed on Z. Can only concatenate a string to none type. This is the main URL and extension, which we... Is this because we've been going for 30 minutes? Let's see here. Drivers. No, go to URL. Okay then. Let's go check this out. Let's see what the... Let's see here. What was the problem? We ran the function, if I remember. Yeah, we ran the function. So we're going to have to go recreate this. All right. Stream is going to end in 9 minutes. I need it. It'll be 7 p.m. on my end, and I have to head out. So what we can do, I'll try and hunt this down in the next few minutes. But just warning you, we're winding down. So let's see here. Let's go ahead and grab our current list. Our topic is game. There we go. So let's go ahead and grab these first. There. Let's see here. This is our list. I noticed that it crashed, so Okay, so where did we exactly crash? Creating document. All right then. We were trying to create a sitemap for Z right here. What does it look like if we go to Z? It looks pretty normal. I don't see anything to... Let's actually do this real quick. Let's go all the way to the end. and see if that's actually because of Z. No, it's not. It's the next one down. Okay, then. So it saved perfectly fine once it got to... Yeah, it saved perfectly fine once we got to there, to Z. I should probably put a... Yeah, I should probably put a... Once we go to run the save function, right here, we run save, and then we do this, save, this. So we go to save, this, then let's log, debug, and we'll put down a, we'll call this total file saved. And then here we'll simply put a parentheses, and we'll put the length of to save list. There we go. So this will tell me how many we saved. I'm probably going to have to write, again, this is not super, there might be some flaws in this as we go further, so I will have to update this a bit. So what I'm going to do is I will put a to do right here. It's here, to do, and that will be write or add code to skip files that could not be saved. Because sometimes when we're creating these documents, we might end up running across a document which might go, oh, it ended up parsing out something that's horribly messed up and we couldn't save it. And I would rather not lose all the data we did save. So what we can do is we can mark down how many files were changed, as in how many files were saved. And then we can spit back out the ones that messed up, so we can then do error testing later. But yeah, we'll log that. So let's get back to... So yeah, that's our log there. I think I'm going to have to put that... I think I'm going to have to make a base scraper function, just so that I can put the save, hide this function here. Anyway. So let's see. We are throwing an error here right after Android. That means, where's Android? Right here. There it is. That is because of that error right there. There is a typo in the enum. So why don't we go ahead and fix that? This is thanks to ChatGPT. ChatGPT really knows how to screw you up when you least expect it. Let's see here. 3DO, Atari, here, that one. I don't know why they changed this. They should just call this IM 1000. Like that. Now I'll put a underscore there. See, do we see any other ones that might throw temper tantrums? Actually, you know what? We'll put a hyphen here for now, just in case. Any other things that might throw an error? Coleco, Commodore. I see Flash, e-reader, DVD player. Yeah, right there. iPad, iPhone. This should be... In fact, they called it iOS. I don't know why it actually put down parentheses iOS, iPhone, iPad. Very strange. Okay, Jaguar, Laser Interactive, Metacrisp, Micro, MSX, My, Engage, NG Pockets. Do we have any other one? Here we go. Online browser. It says there are 7. And I can see why. There are a lot of these. They call Oracle 1 or Atmos. Well, if this is going to be, then we should put this here. Atmos. This is OS2. Yeah, I don't know why this throwing so much problems in. Alright, where's another one? Right there. Okay. ZX Spectrum, Sinclair. So we're going to move Spectrum over here. There we go. We'll lowercase that, since this is all supposed to be lowercased. Oh, here, I see another one. This is supposed to be Super ACAM. Any other ones? It claims 3 more. Here we go. This one. Let's get rid of that. This should be 4. I think they're trying to say TI4A, like so. Tandy Radio Shack. We can get rid of that. One more. And that happens to be here. 1632. 16-bit or 30. There we go. Okay. All right, let's run this. That way we can quickly overwrite it on our end. Let's assume that let's assume we hit the 30-minute mark to begin with. Let's see here. Where is our scraper? Here it is, scraper. So yeah, let's assume that we hit the 30-minute mark. Right here in the code. Okay. So we ran this. Let's do that. Our last console. So let's set the last console to equal. And it okay. And where did... Okay, I remember we were just looking at it earlier. Where did it crash again? We're looking for Android. Here. APF. So APF. That one. So that's our last console. There. Let's go ahead and run start time. We ran through all of that, so now that we've done that, we want to do this and save. Okay then. It looks like it might have saved. Let's go to our database. Let's go ahead and refresh everything. And here it is, DB variables, DL history, and there it is. Okay, so last one we left off on was, wait, why does it say 3DO? Oh yeah, I know why. Let's fix that. Let's fix that. 3DO is the first one. We want to, the last console, we want to, yeah, this one should be, I know why we're doing last console. So let's go ahead and change the tag real quick. So let's rerun this. Change this to last console. There we go. Let's go back in and refresh. There we go. So now we know this. This is the audit data. So this is when we created this instance. We ended on, this is scraping the consoles on game. As you can see, the last console that we were on was the APF 1000. And the last time we did it was this date. So theoretically, if I try to run it again, it would throw an error saying you've already extracted for a week. And then once we get in here, it'll go, oh, look. APF 1000 is the last console that you want to do. Why don't we go ahead and do a find function like this. Get the history doc. Let's get the history doc, and so let's see here. Now if I run that, all right, and then if I run this, yep, there we go, perfect. Okay then, good. This is a good place to stop. Things are moving so smoothly now. The next step is to, since we've scraped GameFAQs for today, that means tomorrow we're going to work on romhacking.net. We will start writing the code up like this to start scraping the information. So yeah, tomorrow tomorrow let's tackle scraping the game data files for romhacking.net, because if you recall, actually we will have to work on that because we're going to set it up for game sources. Let's see here. It should be in this file here, romdb. So yeah, we don't have data. Well, actually, wait, we do have sitemap, but we don't have anything in it. So yeah. So tomorrow we will extract out the ROM information. So because we need to convert this document information right here into our parse, or we need to parse this into for our sitemap. So what we'll do is we'll do that to generate our sources, and then we can start extracting. So yeah, so far it's been good. It's good. I think we've done very well. So until then, everyone have a good one. I think it was a good day today, and I'm still going to try and figure out why that problem is. I'm going to tap Mr. Meeseeks again, and I'm going to actually, and the answer is, let's see here. I do not think anyone answered my question. No one answered my question. All right, well, hopefully someone will answer the question. I'll keep tapping it as well. But anyway, everyone have a good one. Have a good morning. Have a good night. Wherever you may be, have a good one. And tomorrow, we continue. We're doing very well. But laters.